The Supreme Court is back in session, beginning a momentous new term. The 9 justices will hear major cases in the coming months on abortion, gun rights, and religious freedom. It is the first time justices are back in the courtroom since the beginning of the pandemic. Jan Crawford has the details from day one.
As the Supreme Court returned to the bench for its new session,
and the October 2021 term is now convened.
Protesters left no doubt what's at stake. The most significant challenge to Roe v. Wade in a generation, a case asking the justices to uphold Mississippi's ban on abortions after 15 weeks. Shannon Brewer is director of the only abortion clinic in the state in Jackson.
If the court says we're overturning Roe v. Wade, it's up to the states to decide what to do.
They would definitely ban abortion in Mississippi immediately. Yes, and several of other states too.
With Justice Amy Coney Barrett replacing liberal icon Ruth Bader Ginsburg, abortion opponents hope that's exactly what happens. Mostly conservative states are ready to outlaw or greatly restrict abortion if the court sides with Mississippi, while some liberal states have passed laws to guarantee that in their states abortion still would be available. The case, to be argued in December, comes with polls showing public opinion of the court has declined. And there are other contentious cases that surely will divide the justices, including gun rights and religious rights.
Now, the justices are all fully vaccinated, but Justice Sonia Sotomayor has some underlying health conditions, and so she wore a mask on the bench. And Justice Brett Kavanaugh tested positive last week for coronavirus. He's asymptomatic, but he participated today by remote. Elaine?
Jan Crawford, thank you. For more, I want to bring in James Romoser. James is the editor of SCOTUSblog. James, welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. Now, this is the first full term under the 6-3 conservative majority. What are your expectations for the next several months?
So I do think it really is going to be a real barn burner of a term. As you just detailed, the court is set to hear a major case on abortion rights, set to hear another case about gun rights and Second Amendment rights in America. And these are two of the most significant and momentous cases that the court has heard in a number of years. And I think that the 6-3 conservative majority may be ready to really flex its muscles and move the law in a new direction.
As Jan pointed out, so the Supreme Court will hear arguments in December over a Mississippi law banning most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Last month, the court voted 5-4 to uphold a Texas law banning most abortions after 6 weeks. How could this decision impact the court's thinking when it takes up the Mississippi case?
So I think as a technical matter, not very much, because the decision on the Texas abortion law was purportedly a decision only on narrow procedural and technical grounds. The majority that allowed that law to take effect disclaimed that it was saying anything about the substantive issue of abortion rights. However, I do think what that decision signaled, the decision to allow the law to take effect, is it reinforced the idea that there is a majority on this court that is unfriendly to abortion rights. And I think that supporters of those rights are going to have a tough road in December when the Mississippi case comes up.
Well, for more than a decade, the Supreme Court avoided taking up any cases challenging the Second Amendment. But next month, the justices will hear a case in New York on carrying a gun in public. Why is this significant?
Yeah, so in 2008 and then again in 2010, the Supreme Court decided 2 decisions about gun rights in America. And those cases had to do with the right to own a gun in the home, keep a gun, a weapon for self-protection in your own home. And the Supreme Court really interpreted that right very robustly. And then, as you alluded to, for the better part of a decade, many cases came up to the Supreme Court asking the court to expand that right beyond the home and for the court to issue rulings expanding that court to expanding the right to carry weapons outside the home. For many years, the court refused to do that. They didn't take up any cases. And finally, last year, they decided they are going to take up a case about the right to carry guns outside the home. That case will be argued next month. It's about a New York gun control regulation, but it could affect gun control laws in a number of states.
I'm going to ask you about the composition of the court. There has been speculation that 83-year-old Justice Stephen Breyer may consider retirement in the near future. Do you believe there's any political pressure on the liberal-leaning justice to step down while President Biden is in office and as Democrats control the Senate?
Well, there's certainly a lot of pressure on Breyer from a lot of liberal groups. They've been pressuring him for over a year now. He seems relatively immune to that pressure so far. In fact, I'm told that he's actually speaking at an event at the Smithsonian right now in DC. And apparently a couple protesters interrupted that talk to urge him to retire. So he hasn't shown any willingness to cave to that pressure so far. However, I do think that he is aware of the politics here. I think he knows that if he doesn't step down by next term, the Senate could flip in the 2022 midterms. He is certainly aware of that. He's a peculiar guy, but I do think that's going to be part of his thinking. I would say it's more likely than not that we will see a retirement by the end of this term or at the end of this term. But I think he certainly signaled his intention to stay on the bench for at least the current term that just started today.
All right, as we said at the top, a momentous term indeed. James Romoser for us. James, thank you very much.
Thank you.